Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom's February 2024 release is now available and it's absolutely adorable. Here's a quick look at all of the items in the February release. And if you are interested, I do have links in the description box below. The first item is Some Bunny Tag Stamp Set. This is the freebie you'll receive if you purchase at least $50 worth of product, and one item must be from the new release. This is for a limited time and while supplies last. There are two new stencil sets. We have Bunny Face Stencil and Love Bunny Stencil. Love Bunny Stencil has two pieces. One layer will add the silhouette bunnies, the second will add the little hearts. Then in the Bunny Face Stencil, there are three stencils. I'll open up the package on this set so you can get a better look. The first stencil layer will add the bunny's head and ears. The next stencil layer will add the inside of the ears and also the nose. And the final stencil layer will add the eyes. Jaded Blossom always has fun stencil sets, and I think both of these are adorable. The next item is a sentiment stamp set called Bunny Trail. It includes a fun variety of sentiments. We have Happy Spring, Happy Easter, there's Leprechaun Lane, Easter Eggs 1 Mile Ahead, Chocolate Crossing, Jelly Bean Avenue, Bunny Trail, Chick Crossing, Carrot Patch. These will be perfect for spring and Easter cards. The next sentiment set is called Beautiful Ride, and there are coordinating outline dies. And this set works perfectly with one of the new die sets in the release. A few of the sentiments: Life is a Beautiful Ride, Birthday Wishes from Across the Miles, Enjoy the Ride, Pedaling By to Say Hello Gnome, Travel the Open Road, Hello Sunshine, Riding By to Say Happy Birthday, Life is Better on a Bike, Have a Wheelie Great Day, and several others. There's a new add-on set for the wheelbarrow dies. This one's called Easter. You'll be able to fill up your wheelbarrow with Easter eggs and carrots. The wheelbarrow die set is sold separately, but you can also use most of the images without the wheelbarrow die. The next die set is so fun. The gnomes now have a friend. This set is called Gnome Friends Bunny Die. You'll now be able to create a bunny in two different styles, ears up or floppy ears down. And the bunny can wear most of the gnomes' hats, probably some of the girl outfits as well. And you can have the bunny hold different items just as you can with the gnomes. I know some people aren't fans of the gnomes, but maybe you'll love the bunny. It is adorable. The next set I know has been a request by many people. It's called Bicycle and Friends Die. There's now a bike for the gnomes to ride. It includes a basket, so you can add all kinds of fun items inside the basket. And the set includes three different critters. We have a cat, a dog, a bunny. And there's also images to put tulips inside the basket. Tulips are my favorite flower, so I was really excited to see they added tulips. The last items aren't part of the new release, but they are new to Jaded Blossom's shop. With the two new bunny images, Jaded Blossom has made some MDF wood bunny pieces. And it has both of the bunnies, one with ears up and one with the floppy ears down. These are already available for the boy and girl gnomes, and it has the little circle ring at the top, so you can make them an ornament or other decoration. Here's a little boy gnome ornament I made for Christmas, and I shared this in a previous video. But now they have the bunnies available with a stand. There's a little tab at the bottom of the bunnies, and it fits perfectly inside the little stand. So now you can decorate your little bunny critters and display them on a desk or table. I know the MDF ornament pieces have been super popular, and I think the new option with the stand will also be popular. The new wooden bunnies are available in sets of 10. You'll receive 5 of the tall bunny ears and 5 with the floppy bunny ears. And I do have links for both of those in the description below. I did make a few cards using the new release. For most of the cards, I'm using Echo Park's It's Easter Time paper pad. I believe it was released last year. And if it is still available, I'll add a link in the description box. But for my first project, I won't be making a card. I'm using one of the new bunny MDF wood pieces. I've already gone ahead and die cut out all of the pieces. For the main body of the bunny and also the inside of the feet, I used a Doodlebug Design Petite print paper pad. I'll be creating the bunny with the floppy ears down. I used some yellow tone-on-tone polka dot paper. And I'm using that same color for the body, the head, the feet, arms, and the ears. The ears are designed to attach behind the head. They have that little partial pie-shaped piece. And there's also the individual pieces for the ears. I'm using pink cardstock for the inside of the ear. For the chest, the tail, and the back portion of the bunny's feet, I used some yellow cardstock. I'll adhere the chest piece down. Now I'll attach both of the ears. Put glue on that pie portion piece and attach the ears behind the head. For the background of the bunny's feet, I used some yellow cardstock. I'll attach the yellow pattern paper piece on top. And for the bottom of the bunny's feet, I used a light gray tone-on-tone polka dot pattern paper. I'll put glue on the back and inlay that piece. I decided not to inlay the tiny toe pieces, or the beans as my daughter calls them. But with the little hole openings, they'll still show through and you can see that yellow color. Now I'll put glue on the back and attach both of the feet on the bunny. I thought it would be fun to have a yellow tail, and I'll adhere that on the back of the bunny. You can also use this same piece for the hair floof on the top of the bunny's head. Next, I'll start working on the eyes. Use white cardstock for the background piece, black cardstock for the top piece that has the hole. Glue the two pieces together. Now I'll add both of the eyes, and I'm following the little stitch design of the cheek on where to place the eyes. For the nose, there's a teeny tiny piece, and I use the same pink cardstock I used for the inside of the ears. I'll add a small drop of Barely Art glue, use an embellishment wand to pick up that tiny piece and adhere it in place. The die set also includes a piece for the bunny's teeth, but you could also use it as a tongue. If you want your bunny to be sticking its tongue out, this would be a cute option. And I cut out one piece from pink cardstock so you could see the difference. For my bunny, I decided to go with the front teeth. This set also has arms for the bunny, so that's something new since the gnomes don't have arms, they just have hands. I'll adhere both of the arms down, and there's also an option to add the little paws. I cut out some of the pieces just to show the other options. So there's my bunny all finished. Now I'll adhere it on the wood background. I'll put glue on the wooden piece, then attach the bunny on top. Next, I'll place an acrylic block on top for some added weight and let the glue dry. Now I can pop the little bunny in a stand and put it on a shelf. One thing I would recommend after assembling this is to adhere some of those pieces directly onto the wood background, since my ears didn't line up exactly, but otherwise I think it turned out adorable. Now moving on to card number 2. I selected 2 pattern papers from the Echo Park paper collection. Using the Scallop Rectangle dies from Jaded Blossom, I cut out 3 of the pieces. I have a tone-on-tone pattern for the smallest rectangle, and I layered it on a vellum scallop rectangle. On the background piece, it has lots of decorated eggs. I'm adding some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the rose gold mirror color in the pinstripe style. I'm adding 1 each of all 3 widths. I'll wrap the ends around the back, Put ATG tape on the back and layer this piece on a peach scallop rectangle die cut. Now put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. And because it has this scallop edge with some of the etching, I'll also add some glue along that outside. And that'll help to make sure it stays in place. Now put glue on the back of the smaller scallop rectangle and adhere it on the front of the card. And I made sure only to put glue behind the pattern paper rectangle, not behind the vellum, since I don't want the adhesive to show through on the front of the card. I've already gone ahead and assembled another bunny with floppy ears. This time I used some light gray polka dot tone-on-tone pattern paper from Doodlebug. The bunny will be holding an Easter egg. And the Easter egg is from the new Easter Wheelbarrow add-on set. I used yellow cardstock and also some purple pattern paper from the Echo Park collection. Adhered all of those pieces on a solid egg piece. I'll put foam dimension on the back and adhere it in front of the bunny. For a sentiment, I stamped out Happy Easter, and this sentiment is from the freebie Some Bunny Tag stamp set. And I cut out the sentiment using Jaded Blossom's mini tag dies set number 3. Now I'll attach both of the arms, and for this bunny I did put the separate paws at the very end. I'll put glue on the back of the paws and adhere them to the eggs, and I want the arms to look like they're wrapping around the egg, so I'm not adding any foam dimension behind the arms. To help the back portion of the arms lay flat, I'm adding some double-sided adhesive tape behind the bunny. I already have foam dimension on the back of the bunny. I'll remove the release paper and add my bunny right above the Happy Easter sentiment. This little bunny is so cute, perfect for Easter cards, but you could use it year-round. Next, I'll use a white gel pen and add a few highlights on the bunny, a couple little highlights on the feet, the egg, and also the inside of the ears. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll add some light purple enamel dots. And this is something from my stash. I think the light purple color works beautifully with the pattern paper. Put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 3 on the right side of the bunny. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. For card number 3, I selected this beautiful floral pattern paper. It has daffodils and tulips all over it. I'll layer it first on some light blue cardstock, then again on some green cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back, add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. I was trying to decide which direction the pattern paper went, but I don't think it really makes a difference. The tulips and flowers go all different directions on the paper. I've already gone ahead and die cut out all of the pieces. This card will be featuring a little girl gnome riding a bicycle. To help organize all the die cut pieces, I have them stored in scrapbook.com's stack and sort trays. When I was prepping this video, I had a stack of I think 5 or 6 trays. After spending all the time die cutting out all these tiny pieces, I didn't want to lose anything. For the background piece of the bike, I cut it out of white cardstock. You could use any color, it will all be covered up while you add the different pieces. This bike will be a light teal color, and I'm using a darker teal for the handlebars and also the seat. I use black cardstock for the tire, silver mirror cardstock for the little metal portions of the bike. Now once I add the basket with tulips, some of those pieces will be covered up, so you can skip this area. Those tiny little metal pieces that go above the basket, that's something you can completely skip if you're adding a basket full of items that's tall enough to go over those. But since this is the first time I'm assembling the bike, I wanted to show all the different pieces. The final pieces I'm adhering go on the lower portion of the basket on the right and left side, and this is the bicycle seat. For the background portion of the basket, I use green cardstock, same color I'm using for the individual leaves. I'll glue down the leaves first, I used a coral colored cardstock for the tulips, and the basket is light gray with polka dots, the same pattern paper I used for the bunny on the previous card. After adhering all 4 of the leaves, I'll glue down the 3 tulip flowers. Then I'll adhere the basket in front. The die set includes the option to add tulips or the 3 different animals inside the basket, but since there is just the individual basket piece, you could add any small items inside. And with all the image dies included on Jaded Blossom's Gnome add-on sets, just think of all the fun options you could add inside the basket. So there is the bike all assembled. I love how this turned out, super cute. And I think you could use just the bike with the basket of goodies on the card. Doesn't need to have the gnome. Of course, the gnome riding the bike is adorable. I've already assembled most of my little girl gnome. I'm using the leg add-ons. She's wearing a pair of pants but no shoes, which is not very safe when you're riding a bike. Since the pedals on the bike are 2 different heights, I need to cut one of the legs longer than the other. And I held the gnome behind the bike to figure out where to cut the legs. I'll adhere the legs on the back side, and I'm putting a little bit of glue on the pedal so her feet will sit right on top. To hold the back of the legs in place, I'm putting some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the gnome. Now this does take some adjusting. Even after I have her all assembled, I'll do a few more tweaks since I didn't like how everything lined up at first. I put a foam square behind the basket of tulips, and I'm pressing it in place. And here's where I really notice things not lining up. When I'm attaching her hands on the handlebars, her one hand is completely off the side, so it's not even in front of her dress. Just looks like a floating hand holding a handlebar. So now I'll carefully separate the gnome from the front of the bike so I could readjust everything. And now her hands are closer to her dress, so it doesn't look like one hand is separated from her body. Makes it a little harder since the gnomes don't have arms. I'll put glue on the back of the handlebars and attach them to the front of her dress. I'm also going to adjust the shorter leg, move it in slightly closer to her body. I'll need to add a little more glue on the bottom of her foot and attach it to the top of the pedal. Then I'll secure it in place again with some double-sided adhesive tape. Now I'll remove the release paper, put foam dimension on the back. I'm using thin foam squares behind the gnome and her legs, and I'll use some slightly thicker foam dimension behind the bike tire and also the basket. I'll make sure to get good coverage so there isn't one area that sags. Then I'll remove the release paper, add my little girl gnome riding a bike on an Octagon die cut, and I cut this out from vellum. I didn't want to cover up all the beautiful floral pattern paper, but by adhering the gnome on some vellum, it does add some separation from the pattern paper background. I'll lay the Octagon die cut on my card, then I can figure out placement for my gnome. I'll flip over the Octagon, put glue on the back just behind the gnome die cut, that way it doesn't show through on the vellum. Then I'll adhere my Octagon with the gnome riding a bike on my card. I've already gone ahead and stamped and cut out the sentiment. Life is a beautiful ride. This is a fun sentiment. There's little hearts for the dot of the eyes. I'll put foam dimension on the back. And I did cut some small pieces of foam dimension to fit behind some of the areas of the sentiment. I'll remove the release paper and add the sentiment at the bottom of the card. Next, I'll use a white gel pen and add a few highlights. I already put highlights on most of the areas, but I did add a few on her pants and also the tulips. Then for final finishing touch, I'll add some small gem stickers. This is a retired set from Honeybee Stamps. They do have adhesive on the back, but I'm adding a small drop of glue just to make sure they stay in place. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. This is one of my favorite cards. I love the colors, and I absolutely love the basket of tulips. Now moving on to card number 4. I selected 2 pattern papers from Echo Park's paper pad. I have an orange gingham paper for the background and a light teal with lots of carrots for the smaller piece. I'll layer the carrot paper on some light teal cardstock, and this is almost the same color as the background of the pattern paper. It'll add just that little bit of separation. Then I'll adhere the carrot paper on the gingham paper. Next, I'll add a 1-inch strip of brown cardstock, adhere that toward the bottom of the card. This card will be featuring the wheelbarrow filled with carrots. Just to save time on this video, I've already assembled the wheelbarrow. And if you need to see how the wheelbarrow is assembled, you can check out some of my previous Jaded Blossom videos. I'll try to link one of the wheelbarrow assembly videos at the end of this video if you're watching on YouTube. I have a Jaded Blossom playlist on YouTube. I think there are about 50 videos there. So if you've missed any of my Jaded Blossom videos, you can always check out the playlist. I cut out the background piece for the carrots and dirt from some white cardstock, and all of that will be covered up. I'll first adhere the leafy greens of the carrots. Now I'll glue down all 5 of the carrots, and they'll be sticking out of the dirt. There are 3 different styles of carrots and the leafy greens. Once I have all 5 carrots adhered, I'll add the dirt piece. There will be some of the white cardstock underneath the dirt, and that's where you'll attach it to the wheelbarrow. I'll also put a piece of double-sided adhesive tape on the back side just to make sure everything stays in place. My card will also have one of the new little bunnies, using white cardstock for the main body of the bunny and some light peach cardstock for the bottom of the bunny's feet and its tummy. I cut out the background piece of the bunny from white cardstock, and you could use just that piece and add the detail of the tummy, the feet, and the face. But I think by adding all the individual pieces like the ears, the paws, and the feet, it adds more detail to your bunny. For the face of the bunny, I cut out the nose from some light pink cardstock, and this is a teeny tiny piece. I first added a small drop of Barely Art glue, and I'll pick up that little heart-shaped nose using an embellishment wand. For the eyes, I'm using some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the bubble design, and it has been discontinued, but the medium-sized circles work perfectly for the eyes of the bunny. The die set does include some small eyes, but I thought it would be easier to use a few peel-offs. So there's the little bunny, almost all assembled, still needs its paws. I will be popping up the wheelbarrow using some thin foam dimension. This is Honeybee Stamp's black foam strips. I'll make sure to get good coverage on the back of the wheelbarrow, and I'll need to cut some smaller pieces to fit behind the handle and also the stand of the wheelbarrow. This is a nice thin dimension, so it won't add a lot of extra bulk to the card. Once I have good coverage, I'll remove the release paper and adhere the wheelbarrow on the right side of the card. I also cut out several individual carrots, and I'll be adding them at the bottom of the card. The little bunny will be holding on the handle of the wheelbarrow, so I will need to remove some of that foam. That way I can put the bunny right behind the end of the handle. Luckily, I was able to remove the foam without ripping any of the paper. The little bunny will be holding on to the end of the wheelbarrow handle. So I'm trying to figure out placement for the bunny. Decided to put it more toward the end, so the bunny will only be holding on with one paw. This is a super strong bunny. I'll pop some foam squares behind the bunny. One behind the head. Now I'll sneak one underneath the body. Then I'll put glue on the back of the handle of the wheelbarrow and hold it on the front of the bunny. Now I'll attach both of the bunny's paws, putting one on the handle of the wheelbarrow and the other will be more up by its ear. This little bunny is very determined to get all the carrots from the wheelbarrow. Next, I'll add some of the loose carrots at the bottom of the card. Trying to figure out placement. I will pop them up with some foam dimension. For the carrot that'll sit in front of the wheelbarrow tire, I'll put glue behind the greenery area, and foam behind the carrot. Then I'll add 2 more carrots underneath the bunny. Remove the release paper, add 1 more carrot next to the wheelbarrow, and the final carrot underneath the bunny on the left-hand side. I kept changing my mind on the final carrot, but decided to have 1 of each of the carrot styles. For a sentiment, I stamped out Bunny Trail. This is from the new Bunny Trail stamp set. I stamped it on the smallest size of the Scallop Rectangle die. I'll cut off the very left side of the Scallop Rectangle so it's flush on the left side of the card. Then for a final finishing touch, I'm adding some Doodlebug shape sprinkles. This is their Hello Love set. Putting 3 teal flowers on the wheelbarrow and 3 gold hearts underneath the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. I love how this card turned out. The little bunny hanging on the handle of the wheelbarrow is so cute. Now moving on to card number 5. I selected 2 pattern papers from the Echo Park collection. I selected a lovely plaid paper for the background and a pretty purple floral tone-on-tone paper that I cut out using one of Jaded Blossom's Scallop Rectangle dies. I'll adhere the Scallop Rectangle on the card. At the very bottom, I'm adding a little grassy hill, and this die is from Jaded Blossom's Mushroom die set. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. And I'm placing an acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries. This card will be featuring a gnome with a bicycle, and he'll have a little puppy in his basket. I used some light tan cardstock for the background piece of the puppy. There's a separate piece for the face of the puppy. Before adhering that piece down, I'll add 2 mini circle Love from Lizzie peel-offs. And I'm trying to position the circle peel-offs so you'll see them through the eye opening on the face of the puppy. For the ears, the tail, and the spot around one of the puppy's eyes, I use a darker brown cardstock color. For the puppy's nose, I cut it out from some pink cardstock. The nose is very small, so I will use an embellishment wand to pick it up. There's an option to have the puppy's tongue hanging out, which is really cute. I cut out the tongue from some red cardstock. And one final piece to add the brown spot around one of its eyes. I used some white pearlescent cardstock for the basket. I'll glue that piece on top of the puppy. And since you only see the top portion of the puppy, you don't have to worry about most of the body or the back paws. I'll be adding 3 small flowers. I use light yellow cardstock for the flowers and a darker yellow cardstock for the center of the flowers. And the flower dies are from the Gnome Garden add-on set. Now I'll adhere both of the puppy's front paws on the edge of the basket, so it looks like he's holding it. I've already assembled a bike and a boy gnome. I've also stamped and cut out the sentiment, "Have a wheelie great day." Using the outline die, I cut out another piece from purple cardstock, glued the 2 pieces together to create a purple drop shadow underneath the sentiment. And I'll adhere the sentiment in the upper left-hand corner. Next, I'll adhere both of the gnome's hands on the handlebar of the bike. Now I'll glue the puppy in the basket in front of the bike. I'll hold the gnome and the bike on the card so I can figure out the position of where the gnome should sit on the seat of the bike. Put glue on the back of the gnome and adhere him in place. Now I can attach the bike right in front. I'll put glue on the back, and I'll also add a little bit of foam dimension behind the top portion of the gnome's hands. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the bike in front of the gnome. I love how his feet aren't even touching the pedals. It reminds me of being a kid on a bike, going down a hill and you kick up your feet and you just keep going as fast as you can. Not sure that's very safe for this gnome since he does have precious cargo in his basket. After adhering the 3 flowers on the grass, I'll use a white gel pen, add highlights on the gnome's hat, his nose, hands, and also the puppy's ears. For a final finishing touch, I'll use more of the purple enamel stickers. Put 3 underneath the sentiment on the left side and 2 underneath the gnome on the right side. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 5. Card number 6 will be featuring the bunny, the puppy, and the kitten. I've already assembled a bunny and puppy with you, so now I'll assemble the kitten. I used a darker gray cardstock for the kitten's body and head, a lighter gray cardstock for the kitten's chest, the inside of the ears, the nose, and the back portion of the feet. I used some light pink cardstock. For the feet, there are 2 pieces. There's the solid, and I cut that one out from light pink cardstock. Then there's the piece that goes on top that has the cutout, and that's where you'll see that little bit of pink cardstock. I'll glue the 2 pieces together, then add the feet on the kitten. I haven't attached any of the animal's paws yet. I'll do that here in a moment. Next, I'll assemble the kitten's eyes. I use white cardstock for the background piece of the eyes, black cardstock for the inside portion. Just glue those together. Now I'll put glue on the back and adhere the eyes on the kitten's face. Trying to figure out how the eyes are supposed to go. Not sure if I actually got it right, but I still think it turned out cute. Another option would be to add just a small black circle, similar to the bunny and the puppy. I know Jaded Blossom also has lots of stamp sets with faces. Not sure if one of them would work for the kitty, but I know they have cat faces with the little whiskers. The kitten's nose is tiny, just like the puppy and bunny's, but it is a tiny bit bigger. And the kitten also has the little snout piece. I'll adhere that down first, then put the nose on top. I love that Jaded Blossom now has a few animal critters, and they're small enough that the gnome can hold them. So there's the little kitten all assembled, other than its paws. This card will also be featuring one of the car cruiser dies. This was released last month. And if you need to see how to assemble the car, you can watch my January 2024 video. If you're wondering where are the gnomes to drive the car, well, no gnomes this time, the bunny will be driving. I'll put glue on the back and adhere the bunny behind the steering wheel. Then I can add the bunny's paws in front, holding onto the steering wheel. I did pop up the car using some thin foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the car on the front of the card. And the background of my card features pattern paper from Echo Park, and I put, I think it's about a 1-inch strip of gray cardstock at the bottom for the road. I didn't put any glue behind that top frame of the car since I'll be tucking the puppy and the kitten behind that piece. They'll be holding on to the frame. If you watched my video last month, I had one of the gnomes holding onto the frame, so I thought it would be cute to have the 2 critters doing the same thing. I'll tuck both of the critters behind the car. When I'm happy with the placement, I'll put glue on the back and adhere them down. Now I'll attach the rest of their paws, and I'm putting the paws on that top frame of the car. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut out "Enjoy the Ride." I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment in the upper right-hand corner. Now I'll use a white gel pen and add highlights on all 3 of the critters and also the car. On the top of the kitten's head, I put some little polka dots in the shape of a triangle, trying to make it more like a tabby cat. I'm not really sure that was successful, but I think it's still cute. For embellishments, I'm using Honeybee Stamps Aurora Borealis gem stickers. These are super sparkly. I'll put 3 underneath the sentiment on the right side and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. They do have adhesive on the back, but I'm adding a small drop of glue just to make sure they stay in place. Now after I finish this card, there's one part I really didn't like. When I adhered the puppy down, he has his tongue hanging out and it's behind that top bar of the car. So I did go and cut out another tongue and adhered it right on top. So now you can really see the puppy's tongue hanging out while he's enjoying his ride. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 6. This was a really fun card to make. Now moving on to card number 7. With this video going over 40 minutes, I did do some of the card assembly off camera. I assembled a pink bunny, and the bunny is wearing this adorable carrot hat, and this is part of the Gnome Easter add-on set number 2. Since it doesn't really look like a bunny without the ears, I'll attach the ears behind the carrot hat. I think this looks so cute. Once I'm happy with the placement of the ears, I'll flip over the bunny, put foam dimension on the back, and I am adding some slightly thicker foam dimension behind the ears and the carrot hat. I'll make sure to get good coverage on the back of the bunny. Here I'm bringing in that slightly thicker foam dimension, and I'm using the thicker foam dimension in that area since it's not sitting in front of the booth. I'll remove the release paper and add my bunny in front of the booth. For the background of my card, I did a very simple ink blending using green and blue Distress Oxide colors. Next to the bunny will be a bag of carrots. The bag dies are from the Gnome Coffee add-on set. I'm filling the bag with 3 of the carrots. I first attach the 2 carrots that are on the outside area of the bag, then I'll add 1 carrot behind. And I'll secure those in place with a piece of double-sided adhesive tape. I'll also add some foam just behind the lower portion of the bag since there's already a lot of thickness with the carrots. I'll remove the release paper, adhere the bag of carrots on the left side of the card, and I'm putting it behind the bunny's foot. I stamped out Carrot Patch on the sign die cut. This is another add-on set you can purchase. I put glue on the back of the sign to adhere it down, and it's hanging off of one of the nails on the top of the booth, although I haven't put the nails on yet. I also put a small piece of foam dimension in the lower right-hand corner underneath the sign. That way it stays nice and level. Now I'll adhere a carrot in front of my pink bunny and put both of the arms around so it's holding the carrot. This bunny I also added the little floof at the top of the head, and it's peeking out underneath the carrot hat. Next I'll use a white gel pen, add highlights on the bunny, the carrot hat, and also the carrots inside the bag. For a final finishing touch, I'll use some Love from Lizzie peel-offs and add the nails on the booth. I'm using a retired style, so this is no longer available. This is the bubble style. I think this is my last sheet of silver. So once this sheet is gone, I'll find a different way to add nails for my booth. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 7. I love how this card turned out as well. This is really a fun release, and I'm happy with all of the cards I made. For my final card, I've already gone ahead and stenciled the background using the new Love Bunny stencil set. I layered the background piece on some red cardstock, then again on some craft cardstock. I stamped out the larger sentiment from the freebie Some Bunny tag stamp set. It has a sweet little bunny and the sentiment, "Some bunny is happy to have a friend like you. Happy Easter." I cut out the sentiment using Jaded Blossom's rounded tag die, and I added this little scallop piece at the bottom using some pink polka dot tone-on-tone paper from Doodlebug Design. The little bunny image next to the sentiment was colored by my sweet daughter. I'll flip over the tag, put thin foam dimension on the back. I'll make sure to get good coverage, remove the release paper, and add my tag on the front of the card. For a final finishing touch, I'm using some twine from my stash. It's red, white, and pink. I'll take 2 pieces of twine, tie a double bow. I'll cut off the tails of the bow. One side I need to cut just a little bit more, and I'll adhere it at the top of the tag. Inside the hole of the tag, I'm adding a small piece of foam dimension. And I'll also put just a tiny bit of glue to make sure the bow stays in place. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 8. I still want to use some of the other items in the new release, so I may have a second video coming out later this month. Now here's another look at the 8 cards and projects I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new February 2024 release. Jaded Blossom never disappoints with their adorable releases, and this one I think will be very popular. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And since I always tend to use a lot of products in my Jaded Blossom videos, if you don't see an item in the description box, you can always head over to my blog. YouTube allows only so many characters in the description box, but I have everything listed over on my blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.